Wow, I think I completely got the air drum down. I think I have every beat down. Fareed, great to see you, my brother. Grand day, everyone. Welcome once again to the Daily Huddle. I'm Chase Steele Gray, and like I said before, we have a great, great woman here today. Her name is Carmen Lynch. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her and all the great people who have met her. That's a reverse, right? Because she's really, really powerful and awesome. Carmen Lynch has 2 new comedy specials that you can check out that are going to be on an English titled Queef Week, believe it or not, and one in Spanish called Carmen Lynch in Español, right? Carmen has had a multitude of late night TV appearances, including The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, Late Show with Stephen Colbert, Late Show with David Letterman, Conan, and The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson. I mean, come on. What can we say? Carmen has also appeared on Inside Amy Schumer, That Damn Michael Che, and Life and Beth. Carmen can be found on all social media at Carmen Comedian. Grand Rising, Carmen Lynch. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, thank you. Oh my gosh, what a nice intro. I wonder who wrote that. Thank you for having me.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to tell people quickly how we met.
Oh, yes.
Quick. I was in Japan on tour with the musical. My friend Erin has a sister named Colleen. Colleen's friends with Carmen. They were there in Japan. They saw our show. I didn't even know what you did at the time. I researched it. I was like, oh my God, these girls are funny, amazing. After that time, we ran into each other again in New York City. And I just told you the other day, this is the truth. I was just ready to have Carmen on the huddle. I was thinking about her. I was looking at her stuff, laughing from the gut all the way through. And I walked onto a train and there was Carmen sitting across from me. I'm a manifester. What can I say? And here she is right now. I mean,
it's pretty nuts though. New York City, there's so many of us. And for some reason, like I run into people all the time. Like your situation is very unique though, because we always run into each other on the train. Like I think last time it was on the steps of the train.
Yeah, transportation things. It's really interesting, right?
Yeah, we must really love to ride the subway.
If you could, just give me a brief rundown of your background, because I want people to know where you come from. I think your story is very interesting as well.
Oh, thank you. I grew up in Spain. I was born in the States, but I grew up in Spain. My mom's from Spain. And then when I was 8, we moved out to America. And then I've been here ever since, but I go back all the time. My family lives there. My sister, everybody lives in Spain. And then I started doing stand-up in English. And then one day I tried it in Spanish. And then I loved doing it in Spanish. So now I basically just travel a lot doing stand-up in English and Spanish.
Were you fluent before you came over here?
I was fluent as a child just because my mom would just
from the beginning, right? So good.
Yeah, from the beginning. Like she would only talk to my sister and I in Spanish. So I think when you're a kid, you don't even know what's happening. You just answer. You just answer the person in the language that they talk to you in. So like if my dad was talking to me, it would just come out in English. If my mom was talking to me, it would just come out in Spanish. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. And then I watched my sister do that with her kids. And it really does work. You just have to, you know, enforce that. Like you really have to just talk to them in that one language and they will learn it.
Totally. Total immersion.
Yeah.
So I told you, I looked at this question today and I laughed because I know you're a very creative person with your words and your subtle way of bringing life to things that seem so mundane and uncolorful. You make them so funny, right? So I'm looking at the question, what's something everyone truly hates that you secretly love? And when I thought about it, I was like, I've been in that situation where someone goes, I hate that musician. I hate that pie. I hate that, you know, whatever. And I'm like, I love that.
Yes.
You stay quiet, right? You don't want to, you're like, oh, you hate it. Oh, okay. How do you deal with that?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned musician because when I wrote that question, music came to mind.
Yeah.
You know, like I love cheesy music sometimes, but I feel like I have to listen to it like by myself.
What's cheesy music to you?
Like Air Supply. Do you remember Air Supply? They're so beyond. I mean, they make Journey not look like cheesy, you know.
And that's hard to do. Right?
Yeah. So I mean, I will blast, and I only have like one friend that I can blast Air Supply with in the car, but it's we're still listening to it kind of as a joke, but deep down, I'm like, this song is awesome.
That's cool. So talk to me about your comedic journey. I've always thought it was so impressive that you've been on these shows with these comedic giants. I watch your Instagram. I see you're just rubbing shoulders with all these great people that we know, people that are prominent in the comedic world. Do you take it seriously, or do you kind of still take it lightly? It's just you're in the flow right now. It's another person you meet, you're just going with it.
I mean, it's a little bit of both. Like I'll see someone and go, "Oh my God, I can't believe, you know, so and so is right there next to me." Or, you know, he like one time I was sitting at the Comedy Cellar. This was, you know, I don't know, 8 years ago, and the whole table was famous people. And, you know, and then Jerry Seinfeld sat down and his knee accidentally brushed my leg. And I was like, did I just bump knees with Jerry Seinfeld? Like stuff like that just is very surreal. And I think I'd be a lot more normal about it today. But, you know, I still get very starstruck sometimes. But you also, you know, in terms of just all that stuff, we're all the same. I mean, we obviously all, you know,
we're all people.
We all have body odor and all that good stuff, you know. So I mean, I don't, but
well, I mean, you're a superhuman.
Yeah. But I mean, it's all we're all going down the same path, but a different path too, because we don't know where our career is going to take us, and you might as well just enjoy the ride, and you can get very stuck and very like in a bad way by comparing yourself and looking at social media too much and everything, you know. So you kind of just want to like just do your thing.
Right, correct. I don't think I said this to you. I think I said this to somebody else that I interviewed. I think it was either Jon Stewart. I think it was Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart was like, all I wanted to do was make it on Letterman. I said, when I get to Letterman, I've made it. I just want to do my shtick. I want to see him, say hi, kick it with him for a couple seconds, and I'll be good. I don't need anything else. And he was like, I went, I did it. He loved me. And I went right back to my roach-infested apartment and nothing changed.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, you know, that's one of the things we go through as artists. And what I want to know from you is, how important is laughter to you? I had touched upon this when we spoke the other day, but like, how important is laughter to you, and who makes you laugh, famous or not?
I mean, laughter, like genuine laughter I don't think it's easy. It's easy to like giggle or go, ha, that's funny. Sure. You know, and comics do that. We'll be like, oh, that's a good one, you know, but there's no real laughter coming out. But when you can't stop and you think you're going to pee your pants, like that feels good. Even when you're done laughing, you can still feel it, you know, when you're just like, oh my God, I'm still feeling the effects of that laugh. It just carries you. That's definitely, that's got to, you know, lengthen your life or something. It feels so good. And then the people who make me laugh are sometimes just, you know, regular people. Like my dad makes me laugh a lot. Yeah. And he's at that age where it's just because he has no filter. He's not even trying to be funny. He's just old.
Shooting it out, whatever happens.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, he would have never said that 5 years ago. But now, you know, it's just like coming out of him, you know?
Right.
There's just certain people that you're just like, did you really just say that? And I think that's very freeing too. Like, I hope I'm 80 and I do that. You know, I just don't care what I say.
I'm always fascinated with that, because I think we all have friends that are seniors that say something that I used to I used to live with an older woman who was in her 80s, or just touching her 80s. Unfortunately, she passed away at 80. Gosh, she was one of my favorite people ever. And she would say something and it would be so direct.
Yeah.
Like, what would you just say? They're like, whatever, it doesn't matter. She would just let it roll off her tongue. And I was like,
Yeah.
well, even just now I filtered it. I didn't say what she said because I was like, take it easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
'Cause
mean, I
sometimes you don't want old people to talk. You're like, you probably shouldn't say that. And then other times you're like, oh my God,
she
just
didn't
say more.
care. She
Yeah.
didn't care. She was
Yeah.
at the point when she didn't care, and it was hilarious. She had her own act. I wanted to film her. It was amazing. So, what I was also was going to ask you is that, right now in comedy, being a woman and in this state that we're in right now with this Me Too movement and women and actual content that you're using in your show, are you more of a person that's like, pop, pop, I'm gonna get out there and say what I want? Because you make it look so easy, Carmen. When I look at you, you're just talking. I know you have your stuff in your head. You're to me, you have the kind of flow that Jerry Seinfeld has as a woman and as a Hispanic woman, but you just flow. It just looks really easy coming out of your mouth. Do you filter what you're speaking about as it relates to the sensitivity that we're in right now as a woman, or do you feel like, no, I'm cool, I'm free, I just do what I want to do?
I feel pretty free. I mean, if I don't say something, it's probably because it's not funny or it would like genuinely um hurt someone. The offensive part, I'm not too worried about because that's a particular group of people who are just offended all the time. Because the stuff
Right.
that I do that would be offensive, like the other half of the room is laughing harder than normal. So I'm like, well, I'll just go for them. I'm not going to worry about these, and they're usually like, Gen Z, like they're just like, oh my God, can you say that? And, the other half is like, oh my God, please say more. So I'm not too worried about the offended people.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't think you were because I mean, and I've listened to your comedy for a long time, and you have a way of staying in a particular area and being really funny, even if you push a little bit out, which is a talent. I mean, I've seen hundreds of comedians, literally, and not everybody can do that. I'm just being like
Thank
crystal
you.
clear with you. Sometimes people go, they're just everywhere, and you can't grasp it. You're like, oh, that was a lot. Ooh, that was a lot. And you're like, what are you doing right now? Like, it's
Yeah.
not whatever the case may be. And I think, remember we were talking about the dark side of comedy, right? And I said to you, I now know what dark is. I didn't know before, like what dark was in a person. And I know a couple of people who are close to me who are in comedy, and they're dark off stage, like really
Yeah.
dark. I mean, so dark that I don't even recognize them sometimes when I'm talking to them. I'm like, who are you? Do you
Yeah.
find yourself seeping into that little receptacle every now and then? We're like, wow, I'm really dark today. I gotta chill. Or how do you kind of
I don't think I would say I need to chill. I always just go like, why am I going there? What is there that I should like investigate? Or I get really curious about it. But in a general sense, I do lean more and more towards the dark stuff.
right?
And that's not on purpose. I've just over the years have just gone darker. I've always been kind of fascinated by death and what happens to us, after we die. So a lot of times I'll go over a set and be like, why does every joke I have end in death? Like what's happening to me? But there's just a curiosity, I think, with the mind when you start writing, and if you just let it go and let it just go all over the place, it's kind of fun to see
Right.
where you go because I never thought I would be dark.
Right. I don't ever see you as dark, by the way, but that's just me. I've
Yeah.
always had a wonderful rapport with you. I find you to be funny, attractive, very light. Like I think you're great. I don't see any of that, but at the same time, it's like, I I wonder with you because you seem so fluid in your command of this, genre. Are you methodical as it relates to your writing? Like I know you probably saw that Jerry Seinfeld thing where he like had this book of all of his bits he's ever written, or like Chris Rock before he goes out, he has like this board and he's got sticky notes on it, and each sticky has like 4 words that he remembers what he's going to talk about. Do you have that kind of process, or are you like writing and then you like know? How do you get there?
It depends. Like if I'm just doing random sets in New York City, I will literally just put my set together out on the train or as I'm waiting to go up. Like
Love it. Love it.
I don't care so much because I like changing up the order and I like seeing where I go. And most of the time, anything I write down, it's not what I'm gonna say. So there's just a freeness to it. But if I'm doing an hour, I definitely need some kind of order just to
Right.
make
And it's
sure
just
I say all the stuff that I want to say.
right. No, I totally get it. What I was going to ask you a second ago was if being a New Yorker, because I just think this is funny, and I know you're going to say something funny when I ask you this. Give me 3 things being a New Yorker, just 3 things that reach you as a New Yorker that really just bug the crap out of you about New York, like walking around, stuff that you see and has somehow gotten into your comedic routine, like something that.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that you say that because now I've been talking about rats and I just can't stand the like I kicked a rat once when I was jogging and I'm like, this needs to be in my set. And it was so long ago, but I still remember it so vividly because I just didn't know it was a rat. We just crossed paths at the same time and he went flying.
Like,
yeah, and he just literally went flying and I didn't even know it was a rat until he landed. And then I looked and he was running. So there's like more to that, but like, stuff like that, or just slow people really bug the crap out of me. Like, they just don't know how to, people
like,
just don't know how to walk in a big
we're
city.
trying to get like around and they're just like this. Oh, I know it.
Yeah, it's just, and I mean, that stuff's been talked about forever, but it's just like, just try to stick to one side, and you don't all have to hold hands and take up the entire sidewalk. And I mean, that's stuff that I would do. Like I would just look up at the buildings and just be in awe of like skyscrapers. But when you've been here for so long, you're like, it's a building, just move over, just stop, just look at a picture if you need to. But yeah, that stuff is, and they can't help it. And then I remember like I never go to Times Square. I'm so annoyed by Times Square.
I knew you were going to say that.
But then, COVID happened and Times Square was empty. And I was like, oh, I don't hate Times Square. I just hate the people that are in Times Square. Like Times Square is actually really pretty when it's empty. Like I was like one of 5 people in Times Square and it was kind of eerie, but beautiful.
That's funny. That's really cool. Where you are now, which seems to be a really good place, like in your career from the outside, it seems like you're fluid, like you're on a lot of stages, you're meeting a lot of people, which is great. Do you have like some plateaus you want to hit as a comedian, or are you like, I'm just flowing, like I don't want to get too, crazy about it? What's the top of the mountain for you?
I mean, I think I'll speak for myself, but I do think it's partially human nature is when you reach something, you want more. So, naturally it's like, I want a bigger stage. I want more fans. Like, and it's great to post that stuff because people see like, oh, she's doing so many shows. But on the other side of it, it's like, oh, it's not filling up, or, oh, we need to sell more tickets. Can you push more? So there's a lot of that's like, invisible to the outside. People don't see that. So, it is constantly like, well, I want to get more fans. So it's like pushing clips and getting your name out there. So for me, it would just be to keep growing my fan base and, making another special. And, it really feels very formulaic right now because the industry is not in charge. It's really your own. You're your own boss. So it is about like posting more and making more specials and all that. And it feels like it's in our control, but it's still a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I must say, I have to give you your flowers. You have great social media. It's just real. It's you. You look good. you're clean. Like I look at a lot of people's social media for many reasons, comedy, musicians, singers. I look at a lot of things because I'm involved in a lot of things as a performer myself. So I want to give you a compliment on that. I just think
Thank you.
your social media is great. Really, it's really
Thank
great.
you.
When was the last time you were on stage, or can you remember that one time where you bombed so bad you were like, I'm not really sure this is for me, or did you go, whatever, I'm just going to my next show?
I mean, the whatever, I'll just go to my next show is how you speak after knowing that it's not going to change a bomb is not going to change your life. Like at the beginning, you really go like, oh my God, am I in the wrong business? Because you just don't have the experience to realize that like this is going to happen and it's okay. And you know, now at some point you just brush it off, or you say, okay, I'm in a shitty mood, or you know, this audience just really sucks. But there's always, I always find there's something I can get out of it. Like if I'm doing really dark jokes and the audience isn't getting me at all, I still want to try them, because I find that there are some lines that work, and I'm like, okay, if it worked for this audience, that's a really good line, you know?
Right. And by the way, I love the bidet bit.
Oh, thank you.
Because I stayed at someone's house a while ago. I was watching their house for them, and they had the craziest digital bidet. And when you said that, I was like, oh, let me check this out. Whoa.
Yeah.
Like it was like one of those experiences. I said, I can't believe she just talked about that. I can't believe she just said that. It was hilarious. I thought that was hilarious.
Thank you.
That was really funny. I'm still thinking about it. So I want to see if anybody has a question for you. Let me look in here and see if anybody's in the chat. If anybody has a question, the first question, come on in and just start speaking, because I don't see a hand up. Oh, yes.
All right. I'll start speaking. I love comedians, Carmen. Laughter, that you laugh and you can't stop. And even after you stop, it feels good.
Exactly.
When was the last time you laughed that way, and what triggered it? I know it probably was your father, but tell me, what triggered that, and do you seek to trigger that in your audiences?
Yes, I do, but I think that's such a unique laugh. Like you can't force it on anyone, because some people will walk out of a show and be like, I was crying. That was the funniest thing I've ever heard. And then some people will just be like, that was really good. Thank you. You know, so you can't control how people laugh. You just want to do your thing and hope for the best. But whenever I laugh that hard, I was trying to think about it the other day, because it happened maybe like 2 weeks ago, and I can't remember what triggered it, but it's usually something really silly with a friend. It's not usually on stage. It's like we're just chatting on the phone about something stupid that has nothing to do with comedy. And you're just in that mood and you just can't stop. Like it happens with my sister a lot when she comes to visit. We just get so dumb and silly and say something stupid. We act, you know how you regress with family members? We act like we're 12 again. And then we just start laughing and it just keeps going.
Love it. Love it.
Really great.
And if I may say one more thing, Chase.
Go right ahead.
Which of your sets is the one you love the most? I'd love for you to tell all of us, man, I love this. I don't know if you're going to love this. Go watch it. Here's the link.
That's for Chase, right? Was that for you?
No, that's for you.
Oh, it sounded like
you,
it was
Carmen.
for Chase. Oh, my favorite set. Actually, I just posted something on YouTube that I just found. It's about 7 or 8 years old, and someone in the comments was making fun of me because it's such bad quality. It's like, you know, I don't know. It's definitely not 4K or anything close to it, but you can see. But the jokes, there's some of my favorite dark jokes. And I, you know, it has a lot of comments like, oh, I love this, but someone wrote, is this from a VHS or whatever? But they're just jokes that I remember doing that I love, and I wish I had posted it in some kind of higher quality, but yeah, I think I'm just gonna try and make clips out of that because they're
Is
some
that
of my
YouTube?
favorite
That's
jokes.
the
It's
latest one.
YouTube. Yeah, and I think I called it like some of my favorite old jokes. It was about 5 or 6 days ago.
So we can find it on YouTube, on your YouTube channel.
Yes.
Okay, cool. That's great. Thanks for those questions, Sorrel. Florence said, did you always think of yourself as a comedian? And when did you decide to be a comedian?
I actually fell into this by accident. I moved to New York to pursue acting. I was living in Virginia, which is where I grew up after Spain. And I moved up here and I was like, I want to be an actor. Never thought I was going to be a comedian. Didn't think that was a career option. I just never followed comics. I went to a show one day and I was like, what? This is a thing? Like, it just was so not part of my life. And then I even when I tried comedy, it was still like a stepping stone to be a better actor, to get on television. It wasn't to be a comedian. And I just never knew that I was going to just fall in love with the art of it. I just loved it so much. So I still act, but stand up immediately became like my favorite thing to do. And it just, there's no one I have to audition for. There's no director. So it was a lot easier to just go to a bar, do an open mic and perform every single night multiple times. So it just became my favorite thing to do.
Right. Something popped into my head while we were talking, and I said, "Oh, let me just ask her what could it hurt." Are you a Chris Rock fan?
Yes, I think he's great.
Chris Rock, I think he's brilliant. He said so many things that have stuck in my head. He
Yeah.
said one time when he was in his, a guy was asking about comedians. He goes, "Listen, it's very simple. You're responsible for everything. You have a bad show, you're responsible for it. You have a great show,
Yes.
you're responsible for it. The guy heckles you too long, you're responsible for it." Do you believe that?
Yes, I do. I do. I mean, I do think there can be bad audiences, but in the end, I think you're responsible for how you handle it.
Right.
You know, you're not responsible for someone being too wasted or some jerk in the audience, but you can learn how to work around that. And it doesn't mean it's going to be the best response or the best show or
Right, exactly.
or the best result, but you do have some say in it because you have the microphone and it's your show.
Right, exactly. Florence, did you have another question or were you raising your hand from before?
Well, actually, yes. Good morning, everyone. The reason I'm asking this question is because I never thought of myself as a comedian, but as a nurse, I would be on the job and then I worked in the evenings. So when someone relieved me in the nights, and when she came in, I don't know what happened, but she would always be in stitches at something that I would say. And then she would always say to me, "You're in the wrong profession.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how much money they would pay you for the things that come out of your mouth?" And quite a few people have that response, but I would never think of myself as a comedian. So it's like I just wonder where or when you make that like transition, or if it's something that you decide to do or whatever. But I just know people call me that like all the time. People laugh, like really laugh. And then also people call me to hear me laugh, and tell me that it's the most sincere or real laughter they remember hearing. So I just wonder, I asked that question because I wonder if there's a comedian somewhere in me that I have never really acknowledged.
I mean, that's a great question. I think, excuse me, I think a lot of us have a comedian inside of us, but I think it's a lot, excuse me, I think it's a lot more than that. I think it's wanting to be your own boss, having crazy hours, not having a traditional lifestyle, wanting to, or being okay with being alone a lot. Like, people come up after a show and be like, God, I would love to be a stand-up, but I'm just so scared. Well, it's not that I wasn't scared. I was very scared. I was scared for years, but I still did it. but the desire to do it was greater than the fear or the worry of bombing or the worry of money or the worry of, you know, I ate ramen noodles and water for years. Like there has to be more to it than just like, oh, people think I'm funny or I want to be funny. Like there's
Thank you.
so much more.
Thank you.
Time has its way with us every time. I told you it would be quick. It's quick. Would you like to say anything in closing before we do our outro?
I mean, thank you for having me. I find your questions were great. Sometimes I do these kind of things and they're just like the same basic, boring. And these were just intricate.
I'm non-scripted, Carmen. No paper.
Yeah, I love it. You can tell that you're an artist because you have good questions. Yeah, so no, just thank you for having me. And I hope everyone will watch English or Spanish, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Please follow me and come see a show live.
Yeah, absolutely. It's in the Sorrel, do you have the we put it in the bio, but Carmen Lynch on YouTube and Instagram. I mean, she's everywhere. So if you remember Carmen Lynch, you can just put her name in and it'll come up. I've done it many times. So I know for sure it's there. I would love to have you back again. We'll let some time go by as you climb these stairs that you're going, because I know next time you're like, can't get you, Chase. Sorry, I'm in Bali. You know, I don't know. I feel like something like that's gonna happen.
That would be nice to be able to say that to you.
I'll be back in a month. Love you. But anyway, thank you so much for being here. You know, I'm here for you if you ever need me for anything. You and I are artists. I support you fully. We got our numbers in our phones, so we're right on top of it. It's always a pleasure to see you and hear you, and I'll be looking at you. I'm gonna look at that clip you said because I want to check that out. I really want to check that out. But we're gonna do our outro. Thank you everyone for joining us today. As we always do, we leave with the tenets that we always just kind of put in your back pocket on the way out. First, please live out loud, people. Do the best that you can with your magic that you have. Love harder than you have before. Laugh, please laugh more. Go right to YouTube when you finish and type in Carmen Lynch so you can laugh. Give of yourself more than you have in the past. There's so many people going through so much right now. Give some stuff away. Help some people. Go out and make use of what you have, right? Move your body. Ride your bike, run, swim, trampoline. Just move it around. We all need more motion so that we can do more magical things and we can affect life around us. As always, we say, try a little bit of plant-based eating for a day or 2 or 3 days. Give your body a rest. Just give it a shot. We're not preaching about how you eat or whatever. We just give you some suggestions. We throw it out. Everyone's going to be happy doing life, obviously the way they want to do it. And of course, sleep more than you did before. If you only slept 5, try to sleep 6, 7 hours. Give yourself a little bit more time, downtime. And of course, last but not least, please check yourself before you wreck yourself. I'm Chase Steele Gray. I'm here on Wednesdays. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. I'll see you next Wednesday, and I'll also see you Friday this week. So show up, and you'll leave with something you didn't come here with. I promise you. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Chase.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Carmen.
Bye. Thanks, everyone. Have a nice week.
Thank you so much.